Well, well. Hello, everybody. Okay, just came out the shower. Maybe it's a little TMI, but we'll work with it. Welcome to the Relationship Theory. For everyone who is new and for everyone who is constantly present, I ask that you hop on over to Patreon. It'll be in the link, the description box. The link will be in the description box below, where you can find my Patreon for any extra exclusive data and information that's surrounding the relationship theory for just $5 a month. I'd appreciate the support, honestly. But even without that, we'll continue spooling these videos out. So you see the title, Frequency. And yes, this is a sort of nomenclature. It's a metaphor. It's a figure of speech. It's an allegory of a kind. What do I refer to when I'm talking about frequency? What it is, so in You Are You, you will note that I referred to frequency as the amount of times that you frequently see a thing. Yes, your brain, your eyes, your mind keeps a count. You will also note that in You Are You, in the life rules, in the back, the very first rule is you can't count. So what exactly do I mean by frequency? And that the amount of times that you see a thing with your brain counting, yet life rule number one being that you cannot count. I'll tell you. Impact. Value. It has not been said yet in the relationship theory. But I do note that value is the fuel of this human body. If you want to get anywhere, you want to feel any motivation, you want to feel any inspiration, look no further than value. Everyone does what they do, and they are motivated to be doing what they're doing because of what they value and because of what is valuable to people, whether you have it or not, because the mind assumes that you have it. The tension just makes you feel like you don't, so that you can recognize what in the tension allows you to acquire it truly in this life. So frequency. You can order your mind to see a thing a consistent number of times in order to consolidate the reality that what you want is real. You have to first believe that what you want is real. You must not merely just want it. It's okay to want it. That's just another part of tension. That's just the interaction that you're having with the thing that you have yet to acquire. It's feeling like you have it, believing that you have it. You have to get to the point where you believe that you have it. How do you do that? Frequency. Also, this allegory, this figure of speech and word, is also referring to your ability to swim, as it were, through this life like you were a fish, and consume, live, and breathe as a fully fledged, mature individual and life form on this earth, not just as a human being in consciousness, but as a life form on earth, as earth is a host of life in general, right? All right. So we're stooping down from that level of God, which is hosting consciousness, which human beings share, right? That's the reason why we socialize and connect, down to earth, where all life forms share this experience of life with each other, okay? Presence, reality. We are all in an ocean. The 7 oceans on earth are referring to something, right? The seas, they all refer to something. They're not just bodies of water because they're separate from one another, but they have a different flow, they have a different type of content in it, different fishes, different life forms in each one. There are certain oceans you will never find fish in because the ocean that they belong in hosts an environment that allows that sustains them. So, same thing here though. Frequency, the eighth galactic sea. The reason why we believe that out there among the stars is an infinite amount of space to which we cannot possibly comprehend this existence is because somewhere in each and every life form, there's this ability to sustain life. Consciousness may have it all in society as human beings. We must still connect with nature. That is the word for what connects all of life on Earth. So, if you will, you have consciousness that connects all human beings through mind, through God, through the God body, through the host of all things, mind, which is just another human being, down to nature, which is the substance that connects all of life itself through our host, Earth. Therefore, it would not be too far off to say that in this vast amount of space that we cannot possibly fill with just our human being and doing, that space in between us is in itself an ocean. Yes, certain life forms cannot breathe using oxygen, and certain life forms cannot breathe using water. That does not mean that the frequency, that which connects us all, does not exist in a way that allows us all to facilitate what we experience. Okay, we don't all need consciousness is what I'm saying. That's exactly why coexistence and cohabitation is real, not just among human beings through consciousness, but through nature. But as a life form through nature. This is why we have human nature. There's a reason why we separate a human being and their nature. That's why natures are unique to human beings. This is why it's possible to separate not just an individual through their skin color, but through their nature. This is why we have tribes. This is why we have divisions and unique socializations among society. Because much like you will find a shark and shrimp, you will find a human being who thinks and does a thing, and another human being who thinks and does another thing, and the only difference is habit. However, what's the use of frequency? I'm pretty sure that's what we all want to know. What is if frequency is the eighth ocean? This is what I'm going to call it. Frequency is if it's the eighth ocean, that galactic ocean in which we all swim and breathe and think freely. If it's space, what is the use of it? Well, you've heard of the word vibration. I'm sure you have. Vibration is it's exemplary. It's extremely useful because it will state that nothing solid is truly solid. It will also state that nothing shifting, or rather it will also state that everything is in a constant state of motion. So nothing solid is truly solid, and everything is always in constant motion. Okay, again though, even with those two facts, what is the use of frequency? Well, suppose that there was a way to live and breathe, right? And also to well, okay, I've never used this word on YouTube, but this will be the first. I'll say it, but I'll have to figure out another word. Cease is actually cease to exist. Live, breathe, and cease to exist. Sorry I had to censor no, thank you for understanding me censoring myself there. However, What if there was a way to live, breathe, and cease to exist in an environment through which all space is shared through every single human being, both known and unknown, that being the frequency? There's a use to all of it. The use to all of it is expansion. It's expansion. It's expansion. It's the proof that one's desires can come true. It's not merely the fact that there's room for everybody. It's not merely the fact that contends with the truth that competition is unnecessary, as though there must be one who stands on the top, at the top, and no one can compare. It's not merely a fact that denies that contributing is one of the ultimate factors in success and that which benefits all, because it's more than morals, is what I'm saying. And it's more than competing. It's about thriving. 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 The deeper you can dive into the accesses of the mind, the more wealth you can extract from the wealth of the mind. It's just that simple. So don't be surprised if every time you find some nugget of light and wisdom in the darkness and crevices in your mind, that it brings you to some place on earth, because through frequency your mind may have traveled as a wave, as a vibration, to this earth. Not yet born, but through you to be born. You're basically calling things into existence that may have never existed without you. Frequency is the space with which both life and consciousness, both nature and consciousness, uses to produce the unknown. So what's the use of it again? Well, human beings always love to come up with stories about why they hit the ceiling in their life and why they cannot trespass those barriers and those limits that they experience in this life. You will read in You Are You that I talk about limits. Limits and barriers and ceilings only exist to test your desire for expansion. So why not, as human beings and animals, insects, and beasts of all different kinds and amphibians of all different kinds, use frequency to access an even greater version of their ultimate selves?